Today I'm making some bubble bath. First, we're going to start by adding some, this is a very gentle surfactant. You could use SCI, SCS, anything that you like. You can also use SLS or SLES, but we're using sodium cocoa sulfate. So I got about 20% of my recipe is going to be that. And then I have another 20% of cocoa betaine and 10% of decyl glucoside. It's my secondary surfactant, and that's going to be what I use to dissolve down my noodles there. Even with the mask on, this stuff makes me cough a little bit. But that's why we wear masks and gloves. Okay, now that that's all out of there, and give this a little bit of a stir. And once this is wet, the powder stops coming up and it won't really tickle your lungs very much, but that's why it's important to use a mask. It'll keep that from getting to you too much. And then in this pot, I have about 44% of water, 44.5%, 3% of glycerin that I'm going to add to that. This is vegetable-based glycerin. Switch hands here. I'm right-handed. Now I'm going to heat both of these up, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I moved the surfactants over into this pot so that you can see a little bit better the viscosity, the thickness, and it's really hard not to scorch those needles, which I forgot to mention at first. So you want to keep stirring this as it's cooking, and basically just put some on your spatula and make sure there's no needles. There still was a few minutes ago, and now they're all dissolved. So into my pot of water and glycerin is just add a couple drops of blue number 1 water soluble dye. Get that incorporated. I make that just a little bit darker. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my melted and heated surfactants. Scrape out the pot here. Now, if this ends up being a little too thick, because I did use, a high percent, the 20% of the surfactant noodles or needles, depending on what you buy, all you have to do then is just heat up a little bit more water, distilled water, of course, and add it to the mix. Now, the challenge with this is mixing it without incorporating a boatload of bubbles. And I can already tell I want just a little bit more color in there. Bigger spatula here just to make sure I'm scraping this all down. And that's a nice, thick, viscous liquid here. I think I am going to heat up just a little bit more water, because as this cools down, it's going to thicken up even a little bit more. So I'm probably going to add about 4 or 5 ounces of water once it heats up. So I will show you that finished product as soon as it's done, and then it has to cool before we bottle it. Okay, now that our mix is below the flash point, we will add our fragrance oil and our preservative. And we'll mix this thoroughly. As soon as this cools down, we will bottle it up. As you can see, even though I added blue number 1 to this, my fragrance oil, which was a blueberry fragrance oil, was a little yellow. So it turned my soap a lovely lime green, which will be fine, but it's still a little warm to bottle, so I'm going to stick a lid on this. That will help some of these bubbles settle and cool off, because I don't want to pour them into my cute little bottles, my little jugs, because I don't want to risk warping it. So this needs to be at a minimum down to 100. But because this is a thick, viscous liquid, it's going to hold on to some of that heat for a while. So I'm just going to lid this and wait till tomorrow, and we'll bottle it up then. We're back the next day. I have zoomed in so you can see how clear this became once all the bubbles settled out of it. And we're going to start bottling this up. Okay, so this is super thick, which you'll be able to see here. There we go. Just a little bit forward so you can see it. Now the problem with making it this thick is it's just a little slow to run out the foil, but it'll happen. So we'll pour a little bit in, we'll come back, and then we'll pour a little bit more in. Now I could weigh out 4 ounces in a cup, but then you got to scrape it all out to make sure. And this is a 4 fluid ounce little jug here. So we're just going to fill it. And that's all there is to it. So if you like our videos, give us a thumbs up. If there's something that you would like to see, let us know in the comments below, and we'll see if we can accommodate you.